Let me tell you something, when I bought that old cabin, I had no clue I was about to blow the lid off a 30-year scam. Most folks think if you pick up a lakefront place way out in the woods, you're buying yourself a little slice of peace, just you, the water, and enough quiet to finally put your heart back together. That's what I thought too, until the day some self-important security guard showed up, waving a fake map, trying to shove me off my own porch. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a friendly dispute over property lines. This was a war, and these folks thought I'd already lost. Let me back up a sec, because it's never as simple as new guy shows up and everyone bakes him a pie. Nah, I found that cabin in a whisper-only kind of auction, where the listings are basically just hints, and the crowd is folks who get misty-eyed over knotty pine and old fishing stories. The place looked like it had survived 3 hurricanes and a bad marriage. Roof sagging, dock half-sunk windows set at angles you'd only see after midnight at the bar. But even busted up, there was something stubborn in those bones, a pride that wouldn't let go. I'd lost my best friend the year before. After that, I packed my tools, walked out of the shop, swore I was done fixing anything ever again. But you know how life works. Sometimes you crawl back to the very thing you tried to leave behind, so I bought the cabin just like that. Day one, the staring started. Not just neighborly curiosity, something sharper. People jogging past my drive slowed down, their eyes sticking a little too long. Paddleboarders enjoying the view just happened to drift closer to my shore, never saying a word, but always watching. It was the kind of attention that presses on you, makes you wonder if you left your fly open, or if maybe you just don't belong. I tried to shrug it off, small towns, you know. Folks always sizing up the new guy. But the stares got colder. The general store went quiet when I walked in. A guy on the trail muttered about outsiders messing with the lake. That's when I figured out what's more territorial than an HOA. An HOA hiding something big. See Lake Windpine just across my line looked too perfect. Lawns, manicured hedges trimmed with military precision. My old lopsided cabin. It was a scar they wanted to forget. But they didn't know what that place meant to me, or what I'd survived to get there. I wasn't looking for a fight. I just wanted air, maybe a second chance at something like peace. But that kind of silence felt staged, like someone had drawn the curtain and left me on the wrong side. Inside the cabin smelled of old cedar and dust history layered on itself. Sunlight cut through the cracked roof, thin and gold. For the first time since my friend died, I felt purpose. My hands remembered how to fix things, even if my heart didn't. So I got to work one slow, careful step at a time. Pulled out rotten beams, replaced the walls, found 1948 newspapers tucked into the insulation. It was like the place was letting me in on its secrets. About a month in sanding the floors, I caught myself humming just like my friend used to do. Felt his ghost there with me, not judging, just keeping company. By the time I hit month 4, I was rebuilding the dock, knee-deep in water ducts floating by like grumpy managers. One morning, that same paddleboarder showed up just watching, cold as ice. Didn't smile, didn't wave, just drifted off. That look stuck with me like a warning I hadn't figured out yet. As summer faded, the place started to look alive again. Walls, straight porch, solid wildflowers blooming in old barrels. Antique lanterns flickered at dusk, and every morning I'd drink coffee watching the lake breathe under the first light. For a minute, it felt like maybe I'd won my peace. But peace is fragile when folks are desperate to protect their perfect view. On the 7th morning, I found a cream-colored envelope on my step's gold pine tree emblem, fancy handwriting. The HOA had made their move. I didn't open it right away. It looked more like a threat than a letter too neat, too deliberate. When I finally tore it open, the letter inside was dripping with that fake sweet poison only truly unpleasant people know how to write. Violations, unauthorized barrels, historic signage causing status confusion, aesthetic disruption. Then, in bold failure to comply, will result in a $1,800 fine. Signed, Karen Aldridge, chairwoman. I laughed out loud. I wasn't in their HOA. My deed said nothing about Lake Windpines. So I wrote my response across their letter, not a member, not your property. Do not contact me again. Sent it back certified mail with a smiley face sticker for good measure. That should have been the end, right? But trouble likes to sneak up rippling in the water before the storm hits. Couple days later, I'm back from town, groceries in hand, and there they are, two men on my dock, matching polos, khakis, radios at their hips, lake wind enforcement. One snapping photos of my lanterns, the other glaring at my flour barrels like they'd insulted his mother. I started recording. "Gentlemen," I said, "can I help you trespass more efficiently?" They spouted off about visual corridors and unregulated decor. I pointed at the boundary. "Your line ends over there. Pay the fine, or this escalates," the short one threatened. "Are you threatening me?" I asked. He just shrugged, dropped a fake citation on my porch, and walked off. I called the sheriff's department. The deputy said what you'd expect. "It's a civil matter, sir. Unless they get violent, our hands are tied." Yeah, that happened. That was the day I realized this wasn't just pushy neighbors. This was a setup. The next morning, I drove to the sheriff's office. A tired deputy named Collins pulled up the official map on his screen. My stomach dropped. It wasn't my map, it was a doctored one showing a curved boundary that clipped my dock. One elegant lie enough to throw the whole thing into doubt. I tried to file trespassing charges, but Collins just shook his head. Gotta resolve the boundary first. Meaning the HOA could keep pushing and the law would watch from the sidelines. That's when it hit me. They were building their case, brick by brick, lie by lie. Back home, I found a survey stake at the edge of my property. Pink tape barely stuck in the ground, labeled with some made-up property preservation zone nonsense. They wanted me to see it, to know they were close, testing how far they could push. But I'm not the breaking type. Next few days, the town turned icy. The joggers stopped looking at me. The hardware store clerk wouldn't meet my eye. Flyers started appearing. Outliers undermine harmony. They weren't convincing me, they were isolating me, turning me into the outsider. I'd seen this kind of coordinated pressure before. The real attack came on day 10. A knock at the door, clipboard in hand. Young woman in a high-vis vest. "Shared utility corridor," she stammered, handing me a laminated map with that same fake curved line. I took a photo, sent her packing. Drove to the county clerk's office. Lanny, the clerk, compared maps. Official ones matched my deed, but the public online map had been tampered with. Last edit, Caldridge admin 2. That's Karen. She'd bypassed the verification process, published a lie. Lanny sighed. They don't change maps unless they plan something. 3 weeks for an administrative review. Plenty of time for the HOA to make more moves. That night I couldn't sleep. Just after midnight, I saw orange flicker on the porch, my 1923 sign burning. Someone had slipped in silent professional, even cut my camera's wires, and trashed my DVR. They'd picked the lock bin inside my home while I was outside. They didn't want to hurt me. They wanted me scared. But instead, it just made me angry. Cold, deep anger, the kind you don't shake off. I replaced the camera's set traps. Caught a gloved hand on a motion sensor at 3 a.m., someone who'd hunted here before. That's when I realized this had happened before. Back at the records office, I found it a 1992 court case. The HOA tried the same scam, but the old owner, Ellis Morton, fought back and won a permanent injunction. His granddaughter, Rebecca, gave me a letter. "If you're reading this, they're trying again. Don't let them win." Now I had ammo. When the county assessor showed up suggesting I temporarily hand my shoreline over to the HOA, I just smiled. Called my lawyer. Clayton Sharpman's got a voice like gravel. We put together every scrap of history, old surveys, the 1992 injunction, Morton's letter. At the HOA hearing, Karen strutted in with her navy pantsuit and her binder. They hit me with every petty complaint in the book: unapproved lanterns, flour barrels, emotional manipulation. Because my sign said 1923. Clayton cut them off at every turn, slid the injunction across the table, showed evidence of the doctored map, called their bluff in front of everyone. When the county clerk testified that Karen's login was used to edit the map, the room froze. The board shut down the arbitration, referred it straight to civil court. In court, Karen showed up with 3 lawyers, all attitude and no case. The judge, sharp, no-nonsense, listened as Clayton dropped every piece of evidence: historic surveys, injunction drone photos. Karen's side started to unravel when Rebecca testified about the previous fight and Lanny confirmed the digital tampering. The judge didn't hesitate. HOA's claims dismissed with prejudice, ownership, protected criminal charges to follow. And let me tell you, watching Karen's face as the district prosecutor listed every charge: fraud, conspiracy, tampering, felt like seeing justice rip through the clouds after a long storm. Her shock was real. Her power finally met a wall she couldn't push. The HOA board fell apart, neighbors turned silent, and my cabin finally officially became a protected historic site. I rebuilt the sign, branded it again, 1923, and added a steel plate underneath. Not part of any HOA. Visitors welcome unless your name is Karen. Mounted it right beside the porch scar from the fire, still showing a badge of survival. That evening, Rebecca showed up with a pie, just smiled and said, "Granddad would have liked you." As the sun set, gold washed across the lake, the kind of gold no HOA can touch. I sat on the dock, feeling peace settle around me, the lanterns glowing the lake, breathing. The judge's words echoed in my mind. The land is yours. It always was. Here's what I learned. Boundaries are real even for the powerful. Sometimes justice takes its sweet time, but when it comes all at once. You can try to erase history, redraw lines, silence the stubborn ones, but the truth, just like an old cabin, is hard to kill. So tell me, where do you draw your line? What would you fight for even when everyone else says give up? Drop your thoughts below. Share your own battles with justice, or tell me about the time you stood your ground. Because out here the scars are real, but so is the victory.